Oh, such a clutch off-season pickup, Dave.
I was worried we'd bring back the same team.
I meant those blackout motorized shades.
Blinds.com made it crazy affordable to replace our old blinds.
Hard to install?
No, it's easy. I installed these and then got some for my mom. She talked to a design consultant for free and scheduled a professional measure and install.
Hall of Fame son.
They're the #1 online retailer of custom window coverings in the world.
Blinds.com is the GOAT.
Visit Blinds.com now for up to 50% off with minimum purchase plus a free professional measure. Rules and restrictions apply.
Find the biggest voices in sports on the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Like the Game to Love tennis podcast with me, JG, and my co-host Ben, where we talk about all things tennis. The podcast that serves up the latest tennis news, match analysis and reactions to all of the big moments on and off the court. From Grand Slams to grassroots, we cover it all. Search the Game to Love tennis podcast and listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Sports Social Podcast Network.
To How Are the Podcast. It's Gav, and you join us today for a very, very special episode of the pod. As for the first time in the January transfer window, we are joined by the fans of clubs, of players that we've signed. Only one player through the door so far at Sunderland, Jocelin Ta Bi, I think I've got that right, signed over the weekend. He was introduced on the pitch before the game on Saturday, and the fans got to see him for the very first time. But if you're like me, you've probably Googled his name. You've gone, this guy doesn't have a Wikipedia page. What do we know about him? There's a little bit of information out there, but not too much. And during transfer windows, what we like to do is we like to get the fans of other clubs on to educate us a little bit about these players. So today I'm very, very pleased to be joined by former sports journalist Dor Blech, who is a fan of Hapoel Petah Tikva. Have I got that right, Dor?
You got it pretty much right.
Give me the proper pronunciation. I've got to get it right.
Hapoel Petah Tikva. But I think
yes.
Yeah.
How are you, mate? Are you good?
Yeah, I'm great.
Great. Good. Yes. So like I said to you just before we started on, and we hit record there, I don't know a lot about Jocelin Ta Bi. It is right, that isn't it, Ta Bi? Or Ta Bi?
Yeah, it's basically like Ta Bi, but he himself just called himself Ta Bi, like in one word. So
yeah,
okay. We're not French, you know.
Well, that might confuse Sunderland fans because we already have Shemsdin Talbi. So we have two names very, very similar. So I noticed on his brand new Sunderland shirt, it said Jocelin T. Yeah. So it may be that we just go with that when he starts to play for the team. But a young guy who hasn't really had that much exposure to senior football, but fair to say from the footage that I've seen, looks a very exciting young player. But I just want to go back a little bit because Sunderland fans might have seen that we signed him from Maccabi Netanya, but he never actually played a game for them. He was out on loan for all of his time at that club, at your club, right? So it's been a bit of a journey for him.
Yeah, so you said he doesn't have a Wikipedia. He comes from a really humble beginning here in Israel, or in general. He came as a foreign player to the second division of the youth league, which, fair to say, you don't get a lot of players from there going to the Premier League. You hardly get players from there going to the Israeli Premier League. So it's a huge, really, I mean, he was a top goal scorer there, and I think also top assist, but it's a really, I'm not going to say non-club league, but it's not super high level. Maccabi Netanya, he played in a team that in the same city with Maccabi Netanya in Netanya, so they bought him, but just as a prospect, and they couldn't. In Israel, you can have players that finish their spell at the youth team to play another year at the youth club, but they have to play in the previous year as well. So obviously he couldn't do it. And on the last day of the transfer window, not the January, the beginning of the season, they couldn't find a team for him. And Hapoel Petah Tikva, we were in the second division back then. We had a spot in the roster for another foreign player. And we said, all right, let's bring them basically for free. Money, he didn't earn that much, and it's funny because up until 2 weeks ago, he used to live in the same apartment with another foreign player that we have, also a great player, but I hope that he will make it to the Premier League as well. You can Google him, Chapion Kasonga. So he used to live with him, and it was very easy, and it nobody really expected it. We wanted him to come out of the bench, but it was so not certain that we signed him on the last minute of the transfer window, right at the gong, and we it took a bit longer because we really insisted to have the option to release him in January, to bring like a proper foreign player to a club that want to get promoted. And he started the first match. He was all over the place. He entered as in a substitute, and really you saw that he's like really explosive, but he said, I don't know, I don't understand what I'm seeing. It was terrible. And we said, okay, good thing we have this clause. And the next match, it's amazing. He's still, he's a uncut diamond. He's still, you can see that he doesn't produce a lot of numbers, not goal wise and not assist wise, but he's dribbling and he's explosive, and you can't really know, you can't defend him. He was our best player and we got promoted with a record of most points in one season in the second division in Israel. We continue with him for another year. Again, nobody expected. You said, okay, it's the second division. We probably he can't do it in the Israeli Premier League, and he proved everyone wrong. Still, he still need to learn a lot about when to release the ball and to come a bit more, because you can't guard him, you can't stop him. So a lot, and we get fouled a lot, and because he's so young and not really known, he didn't get much respect from the referees. And he could get, they used to get, can get him mad easily and try to get him off balance. But you can't get the ball out of his leg. And it's not just me saying as a fan, I checked the stats. He's the best dribbler ever in the Israeli Premier League, at least, from wherever they checking it. Well, when you have the stats, I think a name that you probably know is Manor Solomon. So he had the record of best dribbling in a season, and Jocelin Ta Bi, although only half a season, but 20% more successful dribble than him on average. So he's like, I think he's the best dribbler ever in Israel. Super fast, super explosive. You can't predict him, and you can't stop him. And he's strong. He kick well on both legs. He have a really famous goal out of two, but still against Maccabi Netanya, his own team that he never played in. So he took a free kick from like, let's say 20 yard, 25 yard on his left leg, which is his strong leg. It hit the wall, and then he volleyed it on his right leg, like in one shot from the rebound directly, to the corner, as you say.
Yeah.
I forgot the word in English, sorry, but right at the crossbar. Amazing goal. I assume you saw it.
Yes.
When you googled it. So he only played with our manager, which is a really good manager. I mean, on the senior level, and he used to play with him on the right wing with his left leg, so he can cut to the middle. But obviously, he can play on the left wing. He can play as a striker. He can also, I think, he can play one level below at the 10 position, even though like passing is not his best skill, but still he has some really nice passing. I think he, in the same match against Netanya, he also have an assist that, that with the outer leg, some crazy pass. That being said, nobody expected him to come to join the Premier League this this soon. We all said, one time in the future he'll 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 go far and we'll be proud that he played for our team and that he started his career in our team. But it came way faster than we expected. But nobody expected him to be so well last year and be so well this year. And I think that, with all of the system in Sunderland and in the Premier League, he might gonna be, I don't know, out on loan or in the reserve team. I don't know, but I know that he could learn a lot and when he will learn to get the right decision. He's only 20-year-old. It's okay. He could be a really decent or really good Premier League player.
Brilliant. Well, it sounds like he's very exciting. But the path he's taken to me is an odd one. You might be able to correct me on this, but it doesn't feel like, Ivory Coast youth player to then Israel is a very typical path, right? So what do you know about that? Like, how did Jocelin go from his homeland to Israel? Because it just seems like an odd place to go.
So his cousin, his name Cedric Don, he's one of the best players in the Israeli Premier League.
Oh, okay.
Also, he did a very similar route, and they have the same agent. So he joined the Hapoel Jerusalem in the youth team. It was 2020 or 2019. He's older than him. And he's amazing. Very different kind of player. And not very physical, very, very smart. But I think this is what made him come here. Maybe even like on a personal level, he thought it would be easier for him. I remember that on his first training in our club, when he joined, his first, senior training, his cousin came and gave him shoes. And we said, what the hell is he doing here? He was, so it was like late September 2025. I'm not sure about the stats, but he was like one of the top assist maker for sure, and at the top of the goal scoring in the Premier League. And he just showed up in our practice, and we were like, "What's going on?" Like, no, he's my cousin. I just I brought shoes for him. I'm like, okay. So I still that could have something to do with it. And again, he wasn't, some player when they're like 13 or 11 or whatever, say, oh, he's gonna make it to the national team. I think he wasn't there. He was very slim, and he was just, I don't know, maybe not well connected, not in the right clubs. I'm not sure, but he made. I think that going all the way to the Premier League in this track is even more impressive, especially when you're just 20 years old.
Yeah, I think our impression from the outside is probably that in an era where in football data is very, very important in recruitment, that Jocelin, he must rank very highly when it comes to the data side of things. I mean, you mentioned before the best dribbler that Israel's ever seen, right? So, these are things that clubs like Sunderland and other clubs he was linked with, he was very close to signing with Celtic, which we'll talk about in a minute or so. That whole scenario, but, linked with Celtic, linked with Sunderland. I think there was a piece in the British media over the last day or so where the agent had said that they had offers from teams in the Champions League, 5 clubs in the MLS were tracking him. Is that your belief that, such an unfashionable player from a league where not many teams in Europe recruit from, that maybe that's why so many teams are aware of this guy? Because he hasn't played a lot of football, he hasn't scored a lot of goals,
Yeah, he's not in the national team, but he's just 20, and all the stats that maybe me and you as a fan, we don't really see, the clubs do see, and they know that, okay, if he got this and this and this, we can teach him everything else. He can learn. And when you see him, again, I'm not sure how much will he play for Sunderland this season, but wherever he play now, you're gonna watch, he's a real entertainer. I mean, he's the kind of player that you really enjoy watching. Like when he get the ball, the crowd, you stand up, you said, okay, now what's gonna happen? And that's right. Right now, most of his dribbling are not effective in a way that it end up with a goal or an assist, but they're always amazing to see. It's another thing that he need to learn, to release the ball sooner, not just to be more effective, but also to not get fouled. And for him, I mean, he dribbled, he passed 3 players. He said, okay, let's go for the 4th one. And he will do it. I mean, at least, I don't know if in the Premier League, but in Israel, you can't stop him. But probably if you would have passed after the first replay that you passed by, it could have been a nicer or a better scoring situation. But it's really exciting to see. And a lot of time he gets fouled and he get up and he keep running, so he's really, and the fan like him, like they love him, not just, of course he's dribbling and he's really entertaining, but he's always, he's spring down to defense, and he's always like, he's really part of the team, and it's really important for him that the team will success and his friend will succeed. And even when he was already, didn't sign, but it was clear that he's leaving and he was injured, and it was important to him to come to the matches and celebrate with the fans after each match and with the other players. And he could have stayed in Glasgow, or at least, I don't know, London or whatever. No, but he came back and celebrated, and it's important to him. I think he really liked the fans. So this way, I think that it's also a good match, him coming to Sunderland and not to, I don't know, some other teams.
AI is incredible. It can teach you how to fry an egg and even write a poem, pirate style. Yarr! But it knows nothing about your work. Slackbot is different. It doesn't just know the facts. It knows your schedule. It can turn a brainstorm into a brief. And it doesn't need to be taught. Because Slackbot isn't just another AI. It's AI that knows your work as well as you do. Visit slack.com/meet Slackbot to learn more.
Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just speaking into the void? But with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers, a network of 130 million of them, in fact. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills, and did I say job title? See how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a free $250 credit for the next one. Get started at linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
Find the biggest voices in sports on the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Like the Game to Love tennis podcast with me, JG, and my co-host Ben, where we talk about all things tennis. The podcast that serves up the latest tennis news, match analysis, and reactions to all of the big moments on and off the court. From Grand Slams to grassroots, we cover it all. Search the Game to Love tennis podcast and listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Sports Social Podcast Network.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen some great footage of him, which you've got to be careful. When you watch YouTube videos of players, people tend to select the best clips they can possibly find of that player. You mentioned there, sometimes he doesn't release the ball quick enough and things like that. But I was really impressed with his close control. That's one of the things where I look at him and go, I don't think it really matters what level you play at when the ball sticks to you like that and you can just run past people. With good coaching, you can develop a player like that. And,
Yes.
that, to be honest, that's what excites me when I see that footage. It's transferable skill. It's the sort of thing, in the Championship, in the Premier League, some of the other top leagues in Europe, that is the kind of skill that will carry you through a career, right? So
Yeah,
I presume,
definitely.
is that what kind of set him apart in Israel, that there aren't too many players with that ability to just take people on and hold the ball?
Yeah, and I don't know how much you know, but that people know that the Israeli league is very technical, and we're weak with the tactic and defense, relatively.
Yeah.
So we usually have players that know how to dribble, so it's not like we're not like let's be use stigmas. We're not like the Danish league, okay? I didn't watch Danish league probably ever, but as they say.
Yeah.
So we used to see dribble, we used to see player juggling, but not like this. I mean, not like this. And I'll tell you something else. After each match, the rival fans, a lot of time, they are more exciting than him than our fans. Because sometimes, I mean, you're a fan of the team, and you said, wow, this player is so good, but I need numbers. I want him to. I want the club to succeed. I don't want to just not just entertainment for me. I want to win. But the other teams, they said, wow, this is a player that so much fun to watch, and we want him on our team. So we knew that January would be hard for us to keep him, but we knew that it would only be for a better league, not within Israel. And as I really like the Premier League, so for me it's fun, and I hope to see him. And your blue jersey will probably gonna sell a lot on in Petah Tikva. It's kind of similar to our. It's the same colors as we are, and so I assume that we're gonna see some people at the stands with the blue Jocelin T.
Yeah, well, you mentioned before as well about him coming back to be with the fans and that showing what kind of character he is. Sunderland have got a growing reputation as a club who develop young players who are really good at giving opportunities to young players. I guess that's kind of factored into the thinking behind taking him to Sunderland as opposed to, any of the other clubs who were interested in him. But would you say what would you say about his character other than what you've already said? Is he a hardworking guy? Is he a humble guy? Is he
No, I think he's very humble. And he's all of this, but he's really humble. And I mean, he became like, at least locally within the team, within the community, a superstar. But he was always humble, and he never he didn't feel like he's above the team, even though that his skills were above most of the team, at least. Dribbling for sure. He spoke Hebrew almost fluently, like he understood everything. And I know that he took a tutor to learn English. I mean, not just now when he started, when he knew that he would move to the Premier League or to the Scottish Premier League. I think that in the last few months, at least half a year, he's studying now, and by chance I spoke to his teacher because I follow her on Twitter because she's really funny in Hebrew though. And she said that he speaks English very well now, and she got upset. I'm not really upset, but that he didn't do his first interview in English because said he can definitely do it. He speaks very well.
I saw an interview on your club social media where he's talking in English, because I did see that Sunderland interview where it was all in French, right?
French, yeah.
And I was thinking, because that can be a struggle, particularly for young players when they move to a new country. It's not just about the on the field stuff; it's the off the field things too. He has to settle in. He has to find somewhere to live. He has to bring all of his belongings to the country. He has to settle. All these things we don't really consider about footballers, never mind young players. I mean, I don't know what you were like when you were 19, 20-year-old, but I know what I was like. And if I had to move to an unfamiliar country where I didn't speak the language and had to just learn how to live on my own and be in this country, I would find it difficult to focus on the football. So it's good to hear that he has been learning English, because that will help.
Yeah, and he's such a lovable guy, so I assume that it would be easy for him to find people to help him. I mean, he could speak with him, he could speak English, but he is in many ways still a boy. So, but I'm sure that Sunderland will make sure that he gets whatever he needs in his new apartment.
Yeah. We have a French coach as well, and we've got a lot of French players, so that will help. We've also got Simon Adingra, who plays for the Ivory Coast. So, there's that link as well. I'm sure he'll fit in great, but we're kind of, I think me and you are thinking along the same lines on this player, and that he's probably more one for the future than the immediate. I don't think we're going to see him thrown immediately into Premier League games. I think he's probably going to get time to do exactly what I just said, settle, get used to things.
I think he was injured in our match against Maccabi Tel Aviv it's funny because it's the best defender in Israel. He's played for the national team, and he's also, there's a good chance that he will move not to the Premier League, but actually I think to the Danish league. I don't know, but he got some offers back in the summer, and he will probably he will join a better league, if not in this transfer window, then in the next one. He couldn't stop him, so he fouled him and he hurt his ankle. And he didn't get respect from the referee. He didn't even got the foul whistle. But in relation to what we spoke about, So I think he still got at least 1 month of coming back from this injury. So which I think it's good because for him, he could use this time to fit in culture-wise and get the apartment set up and meet the players and meet the staff. And I assume that you have staff that help young players and help foreign players to adapt to the country and learn, to look at the right side when he cross the road. It's you're very weird in England. No, I'm kidding. But so it could be a blessing in the sky that he's not 100% focused just in training now, but he's doing recovery. But again, I'm not part of any professional staff, and definitely not in the Premier League. But I assume that he will be out on loan or on the reserve on this next few months. But he's really adaptable, and I think he will improve a lot. And I hope that maybe next season he could be, a part of the squad that play, and that we will see him on the Premier League. And even though that it's like the biggest stage that a football player could play on, I know that, you will enjoy watching him there. That even though it might not be as easy for him as the Israeli league, he's still going to have some magic in his sleeve. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, there was a great interview with Sunderland manager Regis Labris on the club website about Jocelin and about the plans for him. And he didn't write off the idea that he might play in the Premier League. He kind of just said, he'll get time, he needs time to bed in, but it's the identity of the club. Sometimes we give young players opportunities earlier than others would. So it could be, we could see him in the Premier League this season. But what was mentioned in that interview was something you've just touched on, and that is that injury which he picked up. We heard a little bit about it before he signed, because it was a big part of the story around why he never signed for Celtic. Regis Labris said that we'll have to manage his ankle. It was not too serious, but we'll have to wait 2 to 3 weeks to build his fitness. So he doesn't think it's too serious. I did see another interview. Yeah, I did see another interview with his agent, who hinted that it's manageable and he may need surgery in the future, but it's not a big deal. But as I said, Sunderland fans may or may not be aware that he was pretty much a done deal to go to Celtic, and it fell through. The talk was that this injury was the reason that they stepped back on it, but the agent, whose name escapes me now, and I will just find, is called Stav Hackmon. Yes, Stav Hackmon did an interview which is in the Scottish press, which people can dig out, and he basically alluded to this being something different, being an issue between Celtic supporters and the fact that they were doing business with an Israeli club. What do you think about the real reason behind this? Do you think the injury is serious, or do you think there's more to it?
No, so I know the injury is not that serious. Worse come to worse, it's 2 months from today he's match fit, even with surgery. And as you said, I think that even if he will need a surgery, it's something that's not an emergency and you can do it in the summer. But after he got injured, he himself, he's a player, he's not a doctor, but he said that, it's hurt, but I think I can play within 2 weeks. Of course he didn't, but I don't think it's too serious. About Celtic, again, I'm not can't know for sure, but we know the atmosphere there around against Israel. And another player that grew up in our club, even though he went to cross the road to the city rival before joining Celtic, it's Liel Abada, and he left the club because the fan hated him for being Israeli, even though he played quite well. What I do know for sure that Jocelin got a lot of DMs on Instagram cursing him from Celtic fans, or people claim they're Celtic fans. I don't know. And he deleted all of his photos. And at some point, I think he deleted the Instagram from his phone. And I can assume that these people who cursed him also cursed the people on Celtics, and they might have thought, he's a prospect. Why do we need this headache? It's not like we're bringing like a player that will definitely change our season. And I know that they changed their manager, so it could be part of it. I'm not sure. Again, I'm not a Celtic expert, but it kind of. I know that in the player environment, this was the feeling that they don't want him because he's from Israel, and no, he's not Israeli. I mean, he really likes his time here, but I don't think he even knows who's the prime minister here, or less. He even care less. He's here to play football, but I'm happy for him because I know that coming to the Premier League is even better than coming to Celtic. So at the end, it's all for the best.
Yeah, it's worked out well for him. Yeah. And would you say, I don't know what your understanding is of how the player felt and how much you know about it, but would you say the sort of backlash changed his feelings on maybe moving there, or was he still, before Sunderland came along, was he still pretty confident he could go to Celtic, or did he maybe change his mind?
I think that in some point he didn't want to go there because why would you want to go somewhere that even before you signed, you're getting cursed and then you need to delete the app, the Instagram app from your phone. I mean, he had other offers. I know you said MLS, but I know he had an offer from a big club in Turkey. They didn't care that he's from Israel, even though, So he had some option, but I think this is just me assuming as someone who like football. And if I were a player, once you get an offer from the Premier League, who would go to the Scottish League? Come on.
That's true. Yeah.
And Sunderland is doing really well. It's not like he said, they might get relegated. I know that he watched Premier League, and so I know that he probably saw at least 2 or 3 matches of the team this season, and it's a dream come true for him. And I know that Celtic didn't withdraw the offer in any point. Like it got stalled, and they said, medical. We need to see. We need to think. We need to clarify it. Let's test him again. And I think this is the point when they said, I don't know if him or the agent, but they feel that it's not worth the all of the bad blood, and let's go with the Sunderland offer, which is, I think it was even more money. So with more money, I don't know if for him, but for the teams, and a better league, and as you said, better than me, it's a team that's really, it's a really good place to be as a young player, and as a young player who speak French. So I think it was an easy decision.
Yeah, in the end. I mean, the money you talk about there, 3.5 million is the rumored fee to Maccabi Netanya. So it's a lot of money for an Israeli club, I presume, because...
Yeah, I think it's the fourth highest transfer directly from Israel. And it's for a player that basically played 1 year in the second division and half a year in the Premier League in a good club, but still, it's not like a club that is fighting for winning the league. So, and it's to the Premier League and not to like the Chinese league or something like this. So it's definitely a transfer that people will remember, and I think that a lot of Israeli will follow his career.
Yeah, for sure. And the feeling in your club then, because obviously he was only on loan, right? So how did it go down when it became apparent that you were going to lose this player who's been such an important player in your team?
Our club is owned by the community, by the fans. We bought the club after a long spell with pretty shitty owners. We used to be the best club in Israel in the 50s and 60s. And in the 90s and the first decade of this century, we were top tier club, fighting for the championship, never winning them on my lifetime, only on the 50s and the 60s. We still hold the record for most consecutive championship won. So we have a large fan base, but we're kind of different from other fan base because we bought the club and we understand the money issue. So at the end, we really love him, but at the end of the season, he would leave us no matter what, and for free. So it really helped to soften the heat. We said, okay, we would really like for him to play here for this extra 4 or 5 months, and we'll definitely get some magic moment that we're all gonna remember. But this is money that could really help us in the future. We're still looking for our donor that is not just a fan that will give us a lot of money. So it could help us on the way.
Yeah. What would you say, just to round off then, what would you say to maybe any Sunderland supporters who maybe aren't sure about this one, don't really know if they like the idea of signing a young player who's not ready yet? Like, what would you say to any fans who maybe don't know too much about Jocelin?
So we're not at the same position in any way, but our fan felt the same when we signed him, and really quickly we all fell in love with him. I'm sure that it will take longer for him to prove himself on Sunderland, but his improvement graph, it's amazing. It's not like it's not even 90 degrees. I think it's close to 180 degrees. He became better and better and better so quickly, and I'm sure that in England he will do it even quicker and get even better, because you have the facilities and you have the knowledge and you have all of the best trainers and professionals. So his potential is in the sky. I know that he's not there yet. He's not like you didn't sign a complete player yet, but I think it's part of the magic. And you might get a player that in 2 years you couldn't have signed because he will be, way more expensive or go to a better team. And B, being part of the way and see him grow and feel that you're a part of his story, I think as a fan, it's even more fun. Yeah, definitely there's going to be times that you'll curse in the stand. Why didn't he pass? But 2 or 3 matches later, when he will give the really good pass and at the right timing, you say, oh, I remember when he was shitty at passing, but now, he's really getting better at it. So you kind of feel part of it. So it's also nice.
Yeah. Well, Dor, thank you very, very much for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure. And I'm a lot more excited about seeing what Jocelin can do once he's fit, once he's ready in a Sunderland shirt than I was 30 minutes or so ago. So thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much. I will watch the matches.
Yeah. Thank you. And thank you to our listeners. Thank you very much for joining us. We will be back tomorrow with another pod, so make sure you get subscribed to Hapoel the podcast if you're not already. We will be back throughout the remainder of January, I guess, which there's not much left of it, but looks like Sunderland might be busy towards the back end of the window, and we'll be back with plenty of news podcasts and obviously all the match build-up around every single game we play over the coming weeks. So thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you on the next one.
Find the biggest voices in sports on the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Like the Game to Love tennis podcast with me, JG, and my co-host Ben, where we talk about all things tennis. The podcast that serves up the latest tennis news, match analysis and reactions to all of the big moments on and off the court. From Grand Slams to grassroots, we cover it all. Search the Game to Love tennis podcast and listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Sports Social Podcast Network.